The credit card was sitting on the restaurant table next to my water glass when my nephew Danny picked it up, examining it curiously. "Aunt Sarah, why is your card black?" Before I could answer, my sister Victoria snatched it from his hand and held it up to the light. "Oh honey," she said loudly, "that's not a real card. Aunt Sarah's cards are always declined. Remember when we went shopping last month? I hadn't gone shopping with Victoria in 2 years." My mother looked up from her menu. Uncle James paused mid-conversation with his wife. Victoria's husband, Mark, smirked into his mimosa. "Mom says it gets declined everywhere," Danny announced proudly, still holding up the card like it was show and tell. "She says Aunt Sarah can't even buy groceries sometimes." The table erupted in laughter, not polite chuckles, actual laughter. Uncle James slapped the table. Mark nearly choked on his drink. Even my mother smiled, shaking her head in that particular way that meant she was embarrassed by me. Victoria handed the card back to Danny, who was still examining it with fascination. "It's okay, Sarah," Victoria said, her voice dripping with false sympathy. "We all go through tough times. Maybe you should look into those secured credit cards. They're for people who are rebuilding." I took the card from Danny gently and slipped it into my wallet. Then I stood up, placed 2 20s on the table for my coffee and tip, and picked up my purse. "Where are you going?" Mom asked. "We haven't even ordered yet. I just remembered I have something to handle at work." "On a Sunday?" Victoria's eyebrows raised. "Sarah, you work at a bank. They're closed on Sundays." "Not all departments," I said quietly and walked out of the restaurant. Behind me, I heard Uncle James say something about young people being so sensitive these days, followed by more laughter. I sat in my car for a moment before starting the engine. The Black American Express card, the Centurion card, invitation only, $10,000 annual fee, sat in my wallet. The card Victoria had just told the entire family was always declined. I drove home in silence. My phone started buzzing around 3 p.m. Family group chat messages I didn't read. By 6 p.m., there were 12 unread messages. I ignored them all. At 8:47 p.m., a direct text from Victoria came through. "Hey, don't forget about the loan payment. It's due on the 15th. Can you confirm you'll have the money transferred by then?" I stared at the message. The loan, the $50,000 emergency loan I'd given Victoria 3 years ago when Mark's business was failing and they were about to lose their house. The loan that was supposed to be paid back in 2 years. The loan she was now 16 months late on, with no payments made in the last 8 months. The loan she'd restructured last year when I'd offered to forgive the interest if she just paid the principal. The loan that gave me, per our signed agreement, access to her primary checking account for automatic payment withdrawal. I typed back, "Always do." Her response came quickly, "Great, and sorry about brunch. You know I was just joking around. Family teases family, right?" I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into the bank's internal system. As Senior Vice President of Commercial Banking at Riverside National, the bank where my entire family coincidentally kept their accounts, I had certain access privileges. Victoria's checking account, $8,347 balance. No loan payment pending. But that wasn't what made me pause. I pulled up my notes from 3 years ago. When I'd made Victoria the loan, she'd insisted on setting up automatic payment authorization. I'd structured it through the bank officially with proper documentation. What she'd signed wasn't just automatic payment authorization. It was a standard co-account holder agreement giving me full legal access to the account. She'd never read the fine print. I pulled up the other accounts I had access to through various emergency help situations over the years. Mom's checking account. I was listed as co-holder after Dad died and she needed help managing finances. That was 7 years ago. She'd never removed me. Uncle James's business account. I'd helped him restructure his business debt 4 years ago, which required co-signer status on his primary operating account. Mark's business account. Still had my name on it from when I'd helped prevent his bankruptcy 3 years ago. 4 accounts, 4 family members, all the people who'd laughed at brunch. I closed my laptop and went to bed. Monday morning, I arrived at Riverside National at 7 a.m., an hour before anyone else. I logged into the system and pulled up all 4 accounts again, this time looking at transaction histories. Victoria, $340 spent at a spa on Friday, $180 at a restaurant on Saturday, $89 at a liquor store. Mom, $1,200 payment to a cruise line, another $800 to a luxury hotel. Uncle James, $5,000 transferred to an online gambling site. Mark, $2,300 payment to a golf club membership. All while Victoria was 16 months late on a $50,000 loan and claiming she couldn't find the money to pay me back. My assistant knocked on my door at 8:15. Sarah, your 9 o'clock is here early. The Henderson account review. Give me 5 minutes. After she left, I made 4 phone calls to our fraud prevention department. Standard protocol when suspicious activity needed monitoring. I flagged all 4 accounts for routine verification holds, a common banking practice that would temporarily freeze transactions until the account holder verified their identity in person. The holds would go into effect at noon. I went to my meeting. The first call came at 12:17 p.m. Victoria. I let it go to voicemail. She called again at 12:19, again at 12:23, at 12:30, a text. My card isn't working. I'm at Target and it got declined 3 times. Can you help? You work at a bank. I replied, have you tried calling your bank's customer service? I'm calling them now, but the wait time is 45 minutes. This is so embarrassing. At 12:44, Mom called. I answered. Sarah, something's wrong with my bank account. My card isn't working. Can you check on this? I know you work there. I can't access customer accounts, Mom. That would be a privacy violation. You'll need to call customer service or visit a branch. But you work there. Can't you just? No, I can't. I'm sorry. Try the branch on Main Street. They're open until 6. I hung up before she could argue. By 2 p.m., I had 6 missed calls from Victoria, 3 from Mom, 2 from Uncle James, and 1 very angry voicemail from Mark demanding to know why his business account was frozen. At 3 p.m., my office phone rang, an internal call from our branch manager on Main Street. Sarah, I have a Victoria Bennett here claiming there's been a mistake with her account. She says she's your sister and you can verify her identity. I can't verify customer identities, David. That's a conflict of interest. She'll need to go through standard verification procedures. She's insisting. Standard procedures, David. If she has proper identification and can answer the security questions, the hold can be released. That's policy. Understood. He hung up. At 4:30 p.m., Victoria showed up at the bank's main branch downtown, my branch. Security called up to my office. Ma'am, there's a Victoria Bennett demanding to see you. She says it's urgent and family related. I'm in meetings all afternoon. She'll need to make an appointment or handle her banking needs through proper channels. At 5:15 p.m., my phone rang. Mom again. Sarah Elizabeth. What is going on? Victoria went to your bank and they wouldn't let her see you. Her account is frozen. My account is frozen. Uncle James called, and his account is frozen. This happened right after you left brunch yesterday. Did you do something? I didn't do anything to anyone's accounts, Mom. Banks have automated fraud detection systems. If multiple accounts were flagged, it's probably routine security verification. Don't lie to me. You're angry about brunch. I'm not angry. I left because I had work to do. Victoria said you're probably jealous because she has a nice house and you're still renting that apartment. I closed my eyes. I owned a 3-bedroom condo downtown, but I never corrected their assumption that I rented. Mom, I have to go. Tell everyone to visit their branch with proper ID. The holds will be resolved once they verify their identities. How long will that take? Usually 24 to 48 hours for routine verification. 48 hours? Sarah, I have bills to pay. Then you should visit the branch first thing tomorrow morning with your identification and account information. They open at 9. I hung up. The family group chat erupted that evening. I read the messages without responding. Victoria, this is insane. The bank says they need to verify my identity in person before they'll unfreeze my account. I've been banking there for 10 years. Uncle James, same here. This is ridiculous. Sarah, can you do something? Mom, Sarah works there and she won't help. I don't understand why she's being so cold. Mark, this is costing me money. I have business expenses due, and I can't access my account. Sarah, this is serious. Victoria, maybe if Sarah actually understood how real banking works instead of whatever low-level job she has there, she could help us. That message sat there for 3 minutes before it typed my response. I understand exactly how banking works. You all have account holds for routine verification. Visit your branch with valid ID and you'll be fine. The process takes 24 to 48 hours per standard security protocol. Victoria, Why are you being so technical? We're family. Me? Family who thinks my credit card is always declined. Family who made jokes about me not affording groceries. In front of my nephew. At a restaurant. The typing bubbles appeared and disappeared several times. No one responded. I added, by the way, Victoria, your loan payment of $50,000 is now 16 months overdue. Per our signed agreement, I'm calling the full amount due within 30 days. You'll receive official notice tomorrow. Victoria, what? You said I could pay it back whenever. Me? I said you could take your time. 16 months with 0 payments isn't taking your time. It's default. Read the contract you signed. Mom, Sarah, you're being cruel. Your sister is going through a hard time. Me? She spent $340 at a spa 3 days ago. I'm going through a hard time being mocked for having a declined credit card by people who owe me $50,000. Uncle James, how do you know what Victoria spent? The chat went silent. I could feel them all realizing at the same moment. It typed slowly. Victoria's account has my name on it. So does Mom's. So does Uncle James's business account. So does Mark's business account. You all signed co-holder agreements when I helped you. None of you ever removed my access. Victoria, you've been watching our accounts? Me. I'm listed as an account holder. I have legal access. And yes, I noticed Mark's $2,300 golf membership payment last week, Uncle James's $5,000 transfer to an online casino, and Mom's $1,200 cruise deposit, all while claiming you can't pay me back. No one responded for 5 minutes. Finally, Victoria, so you did freeze our accounts. Me? I flagged them for routine fraud verification because, as an account co-holder, I noticed suspicious activity, like owing someone $50,000 while spending thousands on luxuries. The bank's automated system processed the holds per standard protocol. Mark, this is illegal. Me? Everything I did is completely legal. Check with your lawyer. You all gave me account access voluntarily and never revoked it. I work at the bank, which gives me the authority to flag potential fraud, and Victoria's loan agreement specifically gives me access to her primary account for payment collection. Mom, I can't believe you do this to your own family. Me? I can't believe my own family would mock me publicly for having a declined credit card while literally owing me money and spending thousands on entertainment. It typed one more message. The account holds will clear in 24 to 48 hours once you verify your identities. The loan is due in 30 days, and I'll be removing myself from all your accounts once this is resolved. I clearly can't be trusted with such important financial information. I left the group chat and blocked all their numbers. Tuesday afternoon, my assistant buzzed my office. Sarah, there's a gentleman here to see you. Says his name is Danny's father. He doesn't have an appointment, but send him in. Victoria's husband, Mark, walked into my office, his expression carefully neutral. He sat down across from my desk without being invited. You made your point, he said. Did I? Victoria is devastated. Your mother won't stop crying. Uncle James is threatening to sue, though his lawyer already told him he has no case. I'm aware. How much do you want? Excuse me. To make this go away, the loan, the account access, all of it. How much? I leaned back in my chair. The full $50,000 Victoria owes me, plus the $12,000 in accrued interest she would have paid if she'd made payments on time. $62,000 total, within 30 days. That's impossible. Then Victoria can make payment arrangements, but the full amount is now due, per our contract. Mark's jaw tightened. You really are cold. Victoria was right about you. Victoria spent 3 years telling everyone I'm a failure while living off my money. I'm not cold. I'm just done being a joke. He stood up. You're going to regret this. No, Mark. You're going to regret the day you all decided to laugh at my credit card. He left without another word. The account holds cleared Wednesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, I'd received formal requests from all 4 family members to remove my access from their accounts. I signed off on all of them. Thursday, Victoria's lawyer sent a letter trying to negotiate the loan repayment. My lawyer sent back our original contract and the payment history showing 16 months of default. Friday, I received a wire transfer for $62,000 with a memo line that read, "Payment in full." I don't know where they got the money. I didn't ask. What I do know is that Sunday brunch happens every week at the same restaurant, and my invitation has mysteriously disappeared. My nephew Danny called me last week from Victoria's phone. She probably didn't realize he'd taken it. Aunt Sarah, why don't you come to brunch anymore? I'm busy on Sundays now, buddy. Mom says you're mean, but you were always nice to me. I'm still nice to you, Danny. But sometimes grown-ups have disagreements. Is it because I showed everyone your credit card? Mom told me to do it. She said it would be funny. I closed my eyes. It's not your fault, Danny. You didn't do anything wrong. After we hung up, I sat in my paid-off condo, looking at my investment portfolio on my laptop screen. Some families teach you that success should be loud. Others teach you that it should be hidden. Mine taught me that sometimes the quietest power is the most devastating, and that a declined credit card is only embarrassing if you're the one who can't pay the bill. The Tesla was parked in Mom's driveway, its metallic blue paint catching the late afternoon sun. I'd driven it to Sunday dinner without thinking much about it. I owned 3 cars, and this one happened to be the most practical for the highway drive to Mom's house in the suburbs. I was helping Mom set the table when my nephew Tyler came running in from outside, his 8-year-old face flushed with excitement. Aunt Jenna, is that your car out there? The blue one? It is, I said, folding napkins. It's so cool. Can I sit in it later? Before I could answer, my sister Lauren walked into the dining room, her expression already arranged into that particular smile she wore when she was about to say something cutting disguised as a joke. Tyler, honey, that's not Aunt Jenna's car. She borrowed it from her boss for the weekend. Isn't that nice of him? The room went quiet. Mom looked up from the roast she was carving. My brother-in-law Derek glanced at me, then quickly looked away. Uncle Paul paused mid-reach for a dinner roll. Tyler looked confused, but Aunt Jenna said, "Tyler, go wash your hands," Lauren said, her voice still light but firm. After he left, she turned to me. "I mean, it's a Tesla, Jenna. We all know what you make at that little nonprofit job." I worked in property management, not at a nonprofit, but I'd stopped correcting Lauren's assumptions about my career years ago. It must be nice having a generous boss. Aunt Sharon added, passing the green beans. Back in my day, we had to buy our own cars. Derek laughed. Uncle Paul chuckled. Mom said nothing, focusing intently on slicing meat. I set down the napkin I'd been folding and picked up my purse. "Where are you going?" Mom asked, finally looking up. I just remembered I have an early morning tomorrow. I should head out. "But we haven't even eaten yet," Mom protested, though her tone was half-hearted. "Save me some leftovers." I smiled, the same calm smile I'd learned to wear during years of family dinners where my life choices were dissected and found wanting. "I'll pick them up next week." I walked out without another word, feeling their eyes on my back. Tyler was coming down the hallway, his hands still wet from washing them. "Aunt Jenna, where are you going?" "I have to go, buddy, but next time you visit me, I'll let you sit in the car. Deal?" His face lit up. "Really? At your house?" "At my house." I didn't live in a house. Not the one they knew about, anyway. They thought I rented a small condo downtown. They never actually visited it because every time they came to the city, they stayed with Lauren in her house on Maple Street. The house had helped her buy 3 years ago, when her credit score wasn't quite good enough for the mortgage she wanted. I drove home in silence, the highway stretching out before me. My phone started buzzing around mile marker 43, text messages in the family group chat. I didn't look. By the time I pulled into my actual driveway, the one attached to my real house in the private community 30 minutes outside the city, I had 17 notifications. I ignored them all, went inside, fed my cat, and tried to focus on the documentary I'd been meaning to watch. At 10:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with a direct text from Lauren. "Don't forget the house payment is due on the 3rd. Can you have it in by then?" I stared at the message for a long moment. The house payment. As if I were the one living in her 4-bedroom colonial on Maple Street. As if I were the one who'd needed a cosigner 3 years ago because my debt-to-income ratio was too high. As if I weren't the one who'd structured the entire deal so that I owned the property outright and she paid me monthly installments that covered my costs plus a small profit. I typed back, "Everything will be settled." Her response came immediately. "What does that mean? Just say yes or no." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up my property management files. Maple Street. I owned 6 houses on that street, though only Lauren knew about her arrangement with me, and even then she didn't know the full extent of it. To her, I'd simply helped with the down payment, and she made contribution payments to me until she could refinance in her own name. She'd been planning to refinance for 2 years now, always finding some reason to delay. The truth was simpler. I owned her house. She was essentially my tenant with a purchase option she'd never exercised. And not just her house. When I'd started buying properties 8 years ago, I focused on one street in one suburb because the area was undervalued and the school district was about to get a major funding increase. I bought 6 properties over 3 years, renovated them quietly, and either rented them out or held them for appreciation. Lauren's house had been my 4th purchase. When she came to me desperate for help, crying about how she and Derek couldn't afford to stay in their rental and needed to buy something before Tyler started kindergarten, I made her an offer. I'd buy a house outright. She could live in it and make monthly payments to me, payments I'd structured to be lower than her rent had been. When she was ready and qualified, she could buy it from me at a fair market price minus her payments. It had seemed generous at the time, and it was. But she turned it into a narrative where I was the little sister who'd somehow scraped together enough to help out, while she was the one doing me a favor by accepting. At family dinners, she'd make comments about how I was still getting on my feet, while she and Derek had really established themselves. The Tesla comment was just the latest in a long pattern. I closed my laptop and went to bed. Tuesday morning, my property manager called. "Jenna, I've got the new tenant applications for 4782 Maple. Young couple, both teachers, excellent references. Should I move forward?" "Yes, but let's run the full background check first." "No rush. The house doesn't need to be filled until next month." "Got it. Also, I wanted to flag that Lauren's payment last month was 3 days late. Not enough to trigger any penalties, but it's the 2nd time this year." I'd noticed. "Make a note of it, but don't take any action yet." After I hung up, I sat at my desk and thought about Sunday dinner, about Tyler's confused face, about Lauren's casual cruelty. So practiced it seemed almost reflexive, about the 17 text messages I still hadn't read. I opened the family group chat. Most of it was innocuous, Mom asking if anyone wanted her old coffee maker, Uncle Paul sharing a news article about local politics. But there were 3 messages from Lauren, all sent shortly after I'd left on Sunday. Jenna left in a huff because we made a joke about her borrowed car low. "So sensitive, can't take any teasing. Must be nice living in fantasy land where you pretend you're richer than you are." Derek had replied with a laughing emoji. Aunt Sharon had written, "Young people are so touchy these days." Only Tyler's father, my younger brother Marcus, who lived in Portland and rarely came to family events, had said anything else. "Maybe we should lay off Jenna. We don't actually know her financial situation." Lauren's response, "Trust me, I know exactly her financial situation. I'm literally helping her stay afloat." I set my phone down and opened my email instead. There was a message from my financial advisor confirming our meeting next week to discuss expanding my real estate portfolio into commercial properties. Another from my accountant about quarterly tax estimates. A third from a contractor about renovation timelines for 2 properties I was updating. My phone rang. "Mom." I let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message. "Jenna, honey, Lauren said you're upset about Sunday. She didn't mean anything by it. You know how she jokes. Can you call her back? She's worried about the payment arrangement you two have. Just call her, okay?" I deleted the voicemail. An hour later, Lauren called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "Jenna, this is ridiculous. I made a joke, and you're acting like I committed some crime. Can you please just confirm you'll have the payment in on time? I need to know for budgeting. Call me back." I didn't call back. Wednesday afternoon, my property manager called again. "Jenna, Lauren just called the office asking about her account status. She seemed concerned about something. I didn't give her any information beyond confirming her account is current. But she was asking some odd questions about the ownership structure of her house." "What kind of questions?" "Whether there were any liens on the property, whether you could take back the house, whether she was building equity." I stayed professional and told her she'd need to review her contract, but she seemed agitated. Noted. Thanks for letting me know. After we hung up, I pulled up Lauren's contract on my computer. The terms were clear. She was making payments toward an eventual purchase, but the property remained in my name until she either completed the full purchase or refinanced with a traditional lender. She'd signed it 3 years ago, reviewed by both our lawyers. The contract also included a standard clause. If payments were more than 30 days late, I could begin eviction proceedings as I would with any tenant. Thursday morning, the family group chat erupted again. "Marcus, Can someone explain what's going on with Jenna and Lauren? Mom's calling me worried. Mom, Jenna won't return anyone's calls. Lauren needs to talk to her about their house arrangement. Lauren, their house arrangement? It's my house. Jenna just helped with the down payment. Uncle Paul, family shouldn't let money come between them. Aunt Sharon, Jenna's always been stubborn. I muted the chat and opened a new document on my computer. Started typing. Friday evening, I drove to Maple Street. Not to Lauren's house. I had no interest in a confrontation. I drove slowly down the entire street, looking at my properties. 4782 Maple, a young family, 2 kids, always kept the yard immaculate. 4791 Maple, retired couple, quiet, paid 3 months ahead consistently. 4805 Maple, Lauren's house. The lawn needed mowing. There were toys scattered across the front yard. 4818 Maple, new tenants moving in next month. 4823 Maple, another family, just renewed their lease for 2 more years. 4834 Maple, currently being renovated, would be back on the market in 6 weeks. My street, every single property. I'd never told anyone in my family beyond Lauren about the real estate investments. When I'd started, they were still convinced I was wasting my potential by not finishing my MBA. When I bought my first property, a foreclosure I renovated and flipped, they called it lucky. When I bought my second and third, they stopped asking questions. By the time I'd assembled my Maple Street portfolio, they decided I must be scraping by in some undefined way they didn't want to examine too closely. It was easier to believe I was barely surviving than to confront the reality that the family disappointment had quietly built something substantial. Saturday morning, Lauren showed up at my condo downtown, the one I kept as an office and occasionally slept in when I worked late in the city. She knocked hard enough that I heard it from my desk, where I was reviewing contractor bids. I opened the door. "We need to talk," she said, pushing past me into the small living room. "Hello, Lauren." "Don't hello Lauren me. What the hell is going on? You won't answer my calls, you're being weird about the payment, and now I find out you own my house." "Like actually own it?" "You signed a contract 3 years ago. You knew the terms." "I thought it was temporary. I thought I was building toward owning it." "You are, when you exercise your purchase option. I can't afford to buy it outright. The market price now is $60,000 more than when we started." "That's how real estate works, Lauren. Properties appreciate. You've had 3 years to refinance. You never told me I had a deadline." "There is no deadline. You can buy it whenever you're ready, or you can keep making payments indefinitely. The contract is flexible." She stared at me, her face flushed. "Is this because of what I said on Sunday, about the car?" "This has nothing to do with Sunday." "Then why are you being like this?" I looked at her, really looked at her. My older sister, who'd spent our entire childhood being the successful one, the accomplished one, the one Mom bragged about to her friends, who'd struggled to accept that her younger sister had chosen an unconventional path, who'd needed help but couldn't stand acknowledging it. "I'm not being like anything," I said quietly. "You asked about the payment. I said everything would be settled, and it will be. Your November payment is due in 5 days. Either it's on time, or we follow the contract terms for late payment." "You wouldn't actually evict you if you're 30 days late?" "Yes. That's what the contract says. You're my sister. I'm your landlord, Lauren. I've been your landlord for 3 years. You just prefer to think of me as your charity case little sister who somehow scraped together enough to throw you a bone." She stepped back like I'd slapped her. "That's not. I never. You told everyone at Sunday dinner that I borrowed my car from my boss. You've spent years making jokes about my little nonprofit job, my tiny condo, and how I'm still figuring things out. You told the family group chat you know exactly my financial situation because you're keeping me afloat." Her mouth opened, then closed. "You live in my house," I continued, my voice level. "You drive past 5 other houses I own every time you come home. You've never once asked me a single serious question about my career or my life because you decided years ago that I was failing and you were succeeding, and that narrative was more comfortable than reality. Jenna, your payment is due Thursday. Have it in on time." I walked to the door and held it open. She left without another word. Thursday came and went. No payment. Friday morning, my property manager called. "No payment from Lauren. Should I send the first notice?" "Send it. This is really happening. This is really happening." The notice went out Friday afternoon. "Payment overdue." Grace period of 15 days before penalty fees apply, 30 days before eviction proceedings begin. My phone exploded with calls and texts. I ignored them all. Saturday evening, there was a knock on my real front door, not the condo, but my actual house in the private community. I'd never given my family this address. I opened the door to find Marcus standing there, his expression carefully neutral. "How did you find this place?" "I hired a private investigator. Cost me $400. He looked past me into the foyer. "Nice house. Really nice house." I stepped aside to let him in. He walked slowly through the main floor, taking in the vaulted ceilings, the professional kitchen, the wall of windows overlooking the private lake. "How long have you lived here?" 5 years. "And you let them think you lived in that condo?" "I work in that condo. I sleep here." He turned to face me. "Lauren is losing her mind. Mom is crying every day. They sent me to beg you not to evict her." And I'm not going to beg, because honestly, Jenna, they've had this coming for years." He sat down on my couch without asking. "I moved to Portland specifically to get away from the family dynamics, from Mom's favoritism, from Lauren's need to be superior, from all of it." "I know." "Do you also know that Lauren's been telling people she's basically supporting you? That she helps her little sister out financially?" "I suspected. She told her book club that you're struggling and she's been loaning you money. Mom believes it. Half the family believes it." I sat down across from him. "Marcus, I own 6 properties on Maple Street. I own this house outright. I have 7 figures in investments. I don't say this to brag. I say it so you understand that nothing Lauren tells people about me is based in reality." He nodded slowly. "Are you really going to evict her?" "If she doesn't pay, yes. It's going to destroy the family. The family's been perfectly comfortable destroying me for years. They just did it quietly, at Sunday dinners, in group chats, and comments to their friends. I'm just being honest about my boundaries." We sat in silence for a moment. "For what it's worth," Marcus said finally, "I'm proud of you, what you've built, how you've handled all this." "Thanks. But I'm also worried about Tyler. He's a good kid. He doesn't deserve to be caught in the middle of this." That got to me more than anything else had. Tyler, asking about the car with genuine excitement. Tyler, who'd never been anything but sweet to me. "I'm not trying to hurt Tyler," I said quietly. "I know, but Lauren's panicking, and when she panics, she doesn't make good decisions. Just think about it. That's all I'm asking." After he left, I sat alone in my living room and thought about Tyler, about Sunday dinners and family group chats and borrowed cars and assumptions, about Lauren's house and the payment that was now 8 days late. My phone buzzed. A text from Lauren. "Please, I'll have the payment Monday. I'm sorry about everything. Please don't do this to my family." I looked at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "Payment due by end of business Monday. Late fee waived this once. But Lauren, my name goes on the deed as sole owner. And you need to stop telling people I'm struggling. If I hear one more story about how you're supporting me, the next late payment starts eviction immediately. Are we clear?" 3 minutes passed before she responded, "We're clear." I set down my phone and walked to my window, looking out over the lake. Some lessons cost money, some cost pride, and some cost the comfortable lies you tell yourself about the people you've underestimated. On Maple Street, the lights were coming on in houses I owned, in lives I'd helped build, in a neighborhood I quietly transformed while everyone assumed I was barely getting by. My street, my properties, my life, and finally, my terms. The graduation party was at my mother's country club. My nephew Justin had just finished his freshman year at Westfield University, and I'd given him a gift basket with a $100 Visa gift card inside. Justin pulled out the card and looked at my mother across the patio. "Grandma," he called out loudly enough for the entire party to hear, "Aunt Claire gave me a gift card." My mother set down her champagne glass and walked over, her heels clicking on the stone patio. She picked up the card, examined it like evidence, and smiled, that particular smile that meant she was about to say something cutting. "Oh, Claire," she said, her voice carrying across the party. "You know Justin's other aunts and uncles gave him real gifts. Sarah gave him that laptop. James gave him those AirPods. Thomas gave him $500 cash." She handed the card back to Justin. "But it's sweet that you tried. We know you can't afford much on your salary." Justin looked embarrassed. Several relatives standing nearby smirked. My sister Sarah actually laughed, not even bothering to hide it. "It's fine, Aunt Claire. Justin said quietly, clearly uncomfortable being in the middle of this. I stood up, collected my purse, and walked toward the exit. Claire, where are you going? Mom called after me. We haven't even had cake yet. I didn't respond, I just kept walking to my car. Behind me, I heard Mom say to someone, she's always been so sensitive about money. I don't know where I went wrong with that one. I drove home in silence, my hands steady on the wheel despite the anger burning in my chest. At 9:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. The fall tuition payment is due August 1st. Can you handle it like usual? It's $28,500 this semester. I stared at the message for a long moment. For 3 years, since Justin started at Westfield, I've been paying his tuition. The arrangement had begun when my brother-in-law lost his job and they couldn't afford the payments. I quietly stepped in, telling them I'd help out until they got back on their feet. They never got back on their feet, and I never stopped paying. To them, I was their struggling younger sister who worked some vague job in university administration and somehow scraped together tuition money out of sisterly obligation. They'd never asked for details. They just accepted the help and continued treating me like the family disappointment. I typed back, "Indeed it is due." Mom responded immediately, "So you'll transfer by the end of July? They send the reminder notice if it's late." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into my email, the one connected to the Westfield University Foundation, where I served as both a trustee and the chair of the Major Gifts Committee. My official title at Westfield wasn't on any document my family had ever seen. They knew I worked there, had for 12 years, but assumed I was in some administrative role. Financial aid processing, maybe. Student services. They didn't know I was the executive director of development. They didn't know that 6 years ago, after receiving an inheritance from my late aunt, Margaret Harrison, I'd given $4.2 million to build Westfield's Science and Technology Center, named Harrison Innovation Hall after her. My family had been invited to the dedication. None of them came. They'd walked past that building 100 times visiting Justin, never making the connection. I pulled up the university's internal database and searched for Justin's account. Tuition payments for the past 3 years, all marked as coming from external scholarship, private family fund. I'd structured it that way intentionally. The payments came through the foundation, processed as a scholarship, so Justin and his parents never saw my name on the bills. They just knew the money appeared when needed. I opened a new email and addressed it to Patricia Ward, Director of Student Financial Services. Patricia, please be advised that the private family fund scholarship for student Justin Morrison will not be renewed for the fall semester. All future payments from this fund are suspended effective immediately. Please process the change and send the standard notification to the family. Best regards, Claire Harrison, Executive Director of Development. I hit send before I could reconsider. The email from Patricia came back within an hour. She processed the change, and the system had automatically generated a notification to Justin's family account, informing them that their scholarship had been discontinued and the full tuition balance of $28,500 was now due. My phone started ringing at 6:47 a.m. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. She called again at 7:02, again at 7:15. At 7:30, a text appeared. Claire, call me immediately. There's a problem with Justin's tuition. I didn't respond. At 8:00 a.m., my office phone at the university rang. My assistant Jennifer answered, then buzzed my line. Claire, your mother is on hold. She says it's urgent and she needs to speak with you about a student account issue. I told her you handle development, not student accounts, but she's insisting. Tell her I'm in meetings all morning and she'll need to contact Student Financial Services directly. She said she already did, and they told her the decision came from your office. I paused. Patricia must have listed my office as the source when she processed the change. Tell her I'll call her back when I'm available. Understood. At 10:30 a.m., I met with President Morrison about the library expansion. We should recognize our top anonymous donors this fall, he said. The Harrison gift, $4.2 million, is transformative. We should honor that contribution publicly. The building dedication was sufficient, I said. He nodded. We're discussing creating a Harrison Scholar program, full rides for STEM students. A matching campaign could endow it properly. I nodded noncommittally. He had no idea the Harrison family he wanted to court was sitting across from him. After the meeting, I returned to my office to find 17 missed calls from various family members. Mom, Sarah, my brother Thomas, even my brother-in-law Dave, Justin's father. I didn't return any of them. At 2:00 p.m., my assistant buzzed again. Claire, your mother is in the lobby. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's refusing to leave until she speaks with you. Security called and asked if they should escort her out, but I thought I should check with you first. I closed my eyes. Send her up. Mom appeared in my office doorway 3 minutes later, her face flushed and her designer handbag clutched tightly. What is going on? She demanded, not bothering with a greeting. Justin's scholarship was canceled. They're saying he owes $28,500 by August 1st or he can't register for fall classes. The financial aid office said the decision came from your department. But that doesn't make any sense because you don't work in financial aid. Sit down, Mom. I don't want to sit down. I want to know why you're involved in this. Did you make some kind of mistake processing paperwork? Did you accidentally delete something? I didn't make a mistake. The scholarship was discontinued because I decided to discontinue it. She stared at me. You decided? Claire, you don't have authority over scholarships. You work in administration. I work in development. I'm the executive director. I manage all major gifts and donor relations for the university. Her mouth opened, then closed. That can't be your title. You would have told us. Why would I tell you? You've never asked about my job, not once in 12 years. But she looked around my office, seeing it properly for the first time, the large window overlooking campus, the diplomas on the wall, including the fade I'd earned part-time, the photos with university presidents and state governors. I don't understand. The scholarship Justin's been receiving for 3 years was from a private fund, my private fund. I've been paying his tuition the entire time, not helping out, paying it fully, through a foundation I established. Mom sat down slowly in the chair across from my desk. You've been paying, but you said you'd help us temporarily. You made it sound like you were scraping together money too. To what? To help my family who thinks I can't afford real gifts, she flinched. You stood in front of 30 people yesterday and told everyone that I'm too poor to give my nephew a proper graduation present. You've spent years telling people I'm the struggling one, the disappointment, the sister who never amounted to much. Meanwhile, I've been paying $28,500 per semester for your grandson to attend the university where I work. Claire, I didn't know. You didn't ask. None of you asked. You just assumed. She looked down at her hands. The scholarship can't just disappear. Justin needs that money. Dave still hasn't found steady work. And we can't cover $28,500 in 3 weeks. Then Justin will need to take out loans, or transfer to a less expensive school, or take a semester off to work. You can't do this to him. He's your nephew. He's my nephew who watched his grandmother mock my gift yesterday and said nothing, who accepted a laptop and AirPods and $500 cash from everyone else and looked at my $100 gift card like it was an insult. He's 19 years old enough to learn that actions have consequences. Mom stood up, her purse clutched against her chest. I'm calling the president of this university. I'll tell him you're abusing your position to punish your family. President Morrison and I meet weekly. Feel free to call him. He'll tell you that all scholarship decisions from private funds are at the discretion of the donor. That's me. She stared at me, and I watched her realize that I wasn't bluffing, that I actually had the authority I was claiming. When did you become so cold? She asked quietly. Around the same time my family decided I was a failure while I was paying for their lives. She left without another word. The family group chat erupted over the next 48 hours. I'd been removed from it at some point, probably after Mom's visit, but my sister Sarah called to tell me everything that was being said. They're panicking, Sarah said, her voice softer than I'd heard in years. Mom told everyone what you do, about the scholarship, about your position. Thomas looked up your name and found you listed as a trustee. Dave found an article about a major donation to the Science Center from the Harrison Foundation. He realized that's Aunt Margaret's name. Good for Dave. Claire, they're talking about taking out loans. Justin might have to leave Westfield. There are plenty of good state schools. Are you really going to do this? You laughed yesterday, Sarah. When Mom said I couldn't afford real gifts, you actually laughed. Silence on the other end. I spent 3 years paying for Justin's education, I continued. I've donated millions to this university. I sit on the board. My aunt's name is on a building. And you all thought I was some low-level administrator who could barely scrape together gas money. We didn't know. Because you never asked. Because it was easier to believe I was failing than to acknowledge I might have succeeded. Sarah was quiet for a moment. What would it take for you to reinstate the scholarship? An apology might be a start. From Mom? From everyone who smirked yesterday when she said I couldn't afford real gifts. Claire, I'm not asking for groveling, Sarah. I'm asking for basic acknowledgement that you all treated me like garbage while I was funding your children's futures. She hung up without responding. 3 days later, I received an email at my university address. Dear Aunt Claire, my dad told me that you've been paying for my college this whole time. I didn't know. I thought it was financial aid or scholarships I'd earned. I'm sorry I didn't thank you. I'm sorry about what Grandma said at the party. I should have said something. I don't know if this will change anything, but I wanted you to know that I'm grateful. Even if I have to leave Westfield, I'm grateful for the 2 years you gave me here. They changed my life. Thank you, Justin. I read the email 3 times. Then I picked up my phone and called Patricia in Financial Services. Patricia, it's Claire. That private family fund scholarship for Justin Morrison, let's reinstate it. Full tuition for the fall semester. Are you sure? I'm sure. But I want the scholarship letter sent to Justin directly this time, not his parents. And I wanted to list the donor name. The Harrison Foundation. No. Claire Harrison, my full name. I want him to know exactly who's paying for his education. I'll process it today. After I hung up, I opened my email and replied to Justin. Justin, your scholarship has been reinstated. You'll receive confirmation from Financial Services tomorrow. But I need you to understand something. This isn't charity. This is an investment in someone I believe has potential. Don't waste it. And Justin, next time someone in our family says something cruel about someone else, speak up. Silence is complicity. Aunt Claire. I hit send and closed my laptop. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. Mom wants to apologize. Can she call you? It typed back. She can email. I'm not ready for phone calls. Some bridges take time to rebuild. Some lessons cost $28,500 a semester. And some families need to learn that the person they've been underestimating is the one who's been holding them up all along. The Harrison Innovation Hall gleamed in the afternoon sun outside my office window. Aunt Margaret would have appreciated the irony that her name lived on at a university where her niece worked, while her niece's own family had no idea of the impact she'd made. Maybe someday I'd tell them about the other donations, about the scholarship program we were planning, about the endowed chair in the engineering department. But for now, they could start by understanding that gift cards and grace come from the same person. And that person had been keeping them afloat longer than they'd ever known. The group chat notification lit up my phone at 2:47 p.m. While I was making my rounds past the food court. I glanced down at the screen, already knowing it would be something from my sister Victoria. Stop acting like you own the place. You're just a security guard. Below her message, Mom had added a single word, fax, followed by 3 laughing emojis. I stood there in my navy blue uniform, radio clipped to my belt, watching the messages pile up. My brother joined in. For real though, getting too comfortable in that outfit. Victoria sent a photo of me from earlier that morning when I'd been checking the new boutique displays near the main entrance. Someone had captured me talking to the store manager, clipboard in hand. She captioned it, Mall Cop Energy. It typed back a simple response, noted. The truth was, I did own the place. All 847,000 square feet of Sterling Ridge Mall, plus 4 other properties in the tri-state area worth a combined $680 million. But they didn't know that. Nobody did. I'd started buying commercial real estate at 23 with money from a tech patent I'd sold. While my family thought I was wasting my degree working mall security, I'd been building an empire under a NULC that kept my name completely private. The security job? I worked 2 shifts a week because I actually enjoyed it. It kept me grounded, let me see how my properties really operated from the inside. But to my family, I was just their disappointing youngest child who'd thrown away a business degree to wear a uniform and break up fights between teenagers. My phone buzzed again. Victoria had started a video call with Mom and our brother Marcus. I could hear them laughing before I even answered. There she is, Officer Jenny, Victoria cackled. Tell me, are you going to arrest any dangerous shoplifters today? I'm actually working, I said calmly, watching the couple walk past with shopping bags. Oh, working so hard, Mom chimed in. Sweetheart, when are you going to get serious about your life? Victoria's opening her third boutique. Marcus just made junior partner. And you're, what? Checking receipts? Victoria's face filled the screen. Actually, speaking of my boutique, I'm having the grand opening at Sterling Ridge next month. VIP event. But obviously you'll be working, so I can probably get the day off, I said. No, no. Victoria waved her hand dismissively. I don't want my security guard sister hanging around. It's embarrassing. This is for successful people only, industry professionals, press coverage. Your sister could come as a guest, Mom started, then paused. Well, I suppose it would look odd. What would she even wear? Marcus laughed. Her uniform, probably. I watched them through the screen, their faces arranged in that particular expression of fond condescension they always wore when talking to me. Like I was a child who'd never quite grown up right. Listen, Victoria continued, her tone shifting to fake sweet. I'm actually going to be at the mall tomorrow to finalize things with the management company signing the lease for my new store space. Maybe don't hover, okay? I know you like to act important there, but it's kind of cringe. I'll stay out of your way, I said. Perfect. She blew a kiss at the camera. Love you, but like, know your place, yeah. The call ended. I slipped my phone back into my pocket and continued my rounds, nodding at familiar store owners and shoppers. Nobody here knew who I really was either. To them, I was just Jenny, the friendly security guard who knew everyone's names and helped carry heavy boxes. That evening, I sat in my downtown penthouse, the one my family had never visited because I'd told them I had a small apartment near work, and opened my laptop. My property manager, David, had sent over the lease documents for Victoria's boutique. Sterling Ridge Mall, Unit 847, 5-year lease, $12,000 monthly rent. I read through the contract Victoria had already signed, her confident signature sprawled across the bottom of page 7. She had no idea that every dollar of that rent would eventually flow back to me. My phone buzzed with another group chat message. Victoria, so excited for tomorrow. Finally getting the keys to my Sterling Ridge location. Mom, so proud of you, darling. Our little entrepreneur. Marcus, moving up in the world, Vic. I stared at the messages, then at the lease agreement on my screen. They had no idea. None of them did. It typed, "Congratulations, Victoria." She responded with a gif of someone doing a dismissive hair flip. The next morning, I arrived at the mall at 6 a.m. for my shift. Tuesday mornings were quiet, just the opening crew and early walking groups. I made my rounds, checked in with the custodial staff, and reviewed the day's schedule. At 10 a.m., Victoria was due to arrive for her lease signing with the property management team. At 9:47, the group chat exploded. Victoria, heading to the mall now. Lease signing in 13 minutes. Mom, take pictures. I want to see everything. Victoria, obviously. This is a moment. Then, at 9:51, oh God, I just saw her. Marcus, who? Victoria, Jenny. She's literally standing in the main corridor like she owns the place. So embarrassing. I was, in fact, standing in the main corridor. I was also on the phone with David, my property manager, confirming the details of the meeting. Yes, I want to be there when she signs, I said quietly into my radio. Conference room B, 10 o'clock. My phone lit up with another message. Victoria. She's talking on her radio like she's Secret Service or something. Mom. Sweetie, just ignore her. This is your day. Victoria. I know, but it's so cringe. I can't have her lurking around when the property managers get here. Marcus. Just tell her to patrol somewhere else. I watched the 3 dots appear and disappear as Victoria typed, deleted, and retyped. Finally, she sent, "Actually, I'm going to say something." 2 minutes later, Victoria walked through the main entrance in a cream pantsuit, sunglasses perched on her head, designer bag swinging from her shoulder. She spotted me immediately, and her expression shifted from confident to annoyed. "Jenny," she said, loud enough that several early shoppers turned to look. "Can you, not hover here? I have an important meeting." "I'm aware," I said calmly. "Congratulations on the new location." "Thanks, but seriously." She glanced around, lowering her voice but not by much. "This is kind of embarrassing. Can you go patrol the parking lot or something? I don't want the property management people to think I'm associated with, with security? With someone who couldn't figure out how to do better." She adjusted her bag. "No offense, but this is a big deal for me. I've worked really hard to get here. I understand. At 10 a.m., Victoria was due to arrive for her lease signing with the property management team. At 9:47, the group chat exploded. Victoria, heading to the mall now. Lease signing in 13 minutes. Mom, take pictures. I want to see everything. Victoria, obviously. This is a moment. Then, at 9:51, oh God, I just saw her. Marcus, who? Victoria? Jenny. She's literally standing in the main corridor like she owns the place. So embarrassing. I was, in fact, standing in the main corridor. I was also on the phone with David, my property manager, confirming the details of the meeting. Yes, I want to be there when she signs, I said quietly into my radio. Conference room B, 10 o'clock. My phone lit up with another message. Victoria. She's talking on her radio like she's Secret Service or something. Mom. Sweetie, just ignore her. This is your day. Victoria. I know, but it's so cringe. I can't have her lurking around when the property managers get here. Marcus. Just tell her to patrol somewhere else. I watched the 3 dots appear and disappear as Victoria typed, deleted, and retyped. Finally, she sent, actually, I'm going to say something. 2 minutes later, Victoria walked through the main entrance in a cream pantsuit, sunglasses perched on her head, designer bag swinging from her shoulder. She spotted me immediately, and her expression shifted from confident to annoyed. Jenny, she said, loud enough that several early shoppers turned to look. Can you not hover here? I have an important meeting. I'm aware, I said calmly. Congratulations on the new location. Thanks, but seriously. She glanced around, lowering her voice but not by much. This is kind of embarrassing. Can you go patrol the parking lot or something? I don't want the property management people to think I'm associated with, with security? With someone who couldn't figure out how to do better. She adjusted her back. No offense, but this is a big deal for me. I've worked really hard to get here. I understand. Do you, though? Victoria's voice sharpened. Do you understand what it's like to actually build something, to actually succeed? Or are you just going to walk around in that uniform forever, pretending you matter? A small crowd had started to gather, other store employees opening up for the day, a few curious shoppers. I saw phones being lifted. I should let you get to your meeting, I said. Yeah, you should. Victoria turned away, then glanced back. And Jenny? Tried to be less visible. Okay. It's embarrassing for the whole family. She walked toward the management offices, heels clicking on the polished floor. I watched her go, then checked my watch, 9:58 a.m. I followed at a distance, taking the staff corridor that ran parallel to the main offices. My radio crackled. Miss Harrison, they're ready for you in conference room B. David's voice came through. Copy that. On my way. I took the back entrance to the management suite, the one reserved for property owners and executives. The receptionist, Maria, nodded at me as I passed. She was one of the few who knew. Through the glass wall of conference room B, I could see Victoria settling into a chair across from David and our leasing director, Patricia. She was smiling, gesturing animatedly, clearly telling some story. I opened the door. Victoria's voice cut off mid-sentence. She stared at me, then at David, her expression shifting from confusion to irritation. Excuse me? She looked at David. Does she need to check something? Because I really don't think security needs to be in here for a lease signing. David glanced at me, eyebrows slightly raised. I gave him a small nod. Ms. Victoria, Patricia said carefully, I don't think you've been formally introduced. This is. I know who she is, Victoria interrupted. She's my sister. She works security here. And I'd really prefer if she weren't in the room for this. It's unprofessional. I see, David said slowly. He looked down at the paperwork spread across the table. Miss Victoria, I think there might be some confusion about the nature of this meeting. What confusion? I'm signing my lease for Unit 847. I've already wired the deposit. This should be simple. I pulled out the chair at the head of the table and sat down. Victoria's eyes followed me, her confusion deepening. What are you doing? She asked. I think, Patricia said gently, we should make some introductions. Miss Victoria, this is Jennifer Harrison. I know that. She's my sister. She's also the owner of Sterling Ridge Properties Oak, David continued, which owns this mall, and the 4 other properties your stores are currently operating in. The color drained from Victoria's face. What? I folded my hands on the table, The security job is something I do 2 shifts a week, for perspective. Victoria's mouth opened and closed. She looked at David, then Patricia, then back at me. This is a joke. It's not, Patricia said, sliding a document across the table. This is the property deed. You'll see Ms. Harrison's name on the log filing. Victoria grabbed the paper, her hands shaking slightly. I watched her eyes scan the legal text, watched the moment it registered. She looked up at me. You own this mall? Yes. And the property in Westfield where my flagship store is? Yes. And the Riverside complex where? All of them, I confirmed. I've owned them for 6 years. Victoria set the paper down very carefully. Why didn't you tell us? I tried, multiple times, but every conversation turned into a lecture about wasting my degree or disappointing the family. But you let us think. She stopped. Her face was turning red now, the embarrassment setting in. Oh God. Everything I've said. Everything Mom has said. Yes. The group chat messages, this morning in the corridor. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You saw all of it. I did. Victoria looked at David desperately. There's some kind of mistake, right? She can't actually. Ms. Harrison owns the properties, David said firmly. She's owned them since before your first location opened. In fact, she's the one who approved your initial lease application. The room fell silent except for the quiet hum of the air conditioning. Victoria stared at the table, her perfect composure crumbling. I don't understand, she finally said. If you have all this money, why would you work security? Because I like it, I said simply. It keeps me connected to the properties. I see how they really function, and it reminds me who I am beyond the bank accounts. But I've been. Victoria couldn't finish the sentence. My phone buzzed. The group chat. Mom, how's it going, Victoria? Did you sign the lease? Send pictures. Marcus. Yeah, how'd it go with the property managers? It turned my phone around so Victoria could see the messages. You can tell them if you want, I said, or we can finish this meeting, you can sign your lease, and we can all move forward. Victoria looked at the lease agreement, then at me. Are you going to kick me out? Cancel my stores? Why would I do that? Because we've all been horrible to you. Your stores are profitable, I said. You're actually very good at what you do. I have no reason to terminate successful leases. But you might want to think about how you treat people, I continued. Especially people you don't think are worth your respect. You never know who they actually are. Patricia cleared her throat. Should we continue with the signing? Victoria nodded mutely. She picked up the pen with trembling hands and signed where Patricia indicated. The whole process took less than 3 minutes. When it was done, Victoria gathered her things slowly. At the door, she paused. Does Mom know? She asked quietly. No. Marcus? No one knows except the people in this room. Are you going to tell them? I considered. That's up to you. Victoria nodded and left. Through the glass wall, I watched her walk back toward the main mall area, her confident stride from earlier completely gone. My phone buzzed again. Victoria, I need to talk to Mom and Marcus. Family meeting, tonight. Mom, what's wrong? Did something happen with the lease? Victoria, everyone needs to be there. 7 p.m. My place. I didn't respond to the messages. Instead, I finished my meeting with David and Patricia, reviewed some other property matters, and went back out to complete my security rounds. At 3 p.m., my phone rang. Mom. Jennifer, Victoria just told me the most ridiculous story. She says you own the mall. Please tell me this is some kind of misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding. Silence. Then you own Sterling Ridge Mall. And 4 other properties, yes. But you're a security guard. I work security part-time. I own the properties full-time. More silence. I could hear her breathing, processing. How long? She finally asked. 6 years. 6 years. Her voice cracked. We've been. Oh God, Jennifer, what we said to you. I know. Why didn't you tell us? I tried, Mom, multiple times, but every conversation became about how I needed to be more like Victoria or Marcus, how I was wasting my potential. After a while, it seemed easier to just let you think what you wanted to think. I don't. Mom's voice broke. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything right now. But we've been so cruel, so dismissive, and you've just let us. Yes. Why? I watched a young couple walk past, holding hands and laughing at something on one of their phones, because I wanted to see if any of you would value me for who I am, not what I have, and I got my answer. Mom was crying now. Jennifer, I'm so sorry. I know you are. Can we talk? Tonight at Victoria's? I'll be there. I stared at my phone, reading the message for the third time, hoping the words would somehow rearrange themselves into something less devastating. Honestly, Maya, just don't come. You can't afford our wedding venue anyway, and we don't need you showing up in your thrift store dress making everyone uncomfortable. Stay home. My sister Brittany had always been blunt, but this was a new level of cruelty. The wedding was in 3 months. I'd already bought my bridesmaid dress, the expensive one she'd insisted we all purchase from that boutique downtown. Before I could respond, another message appeared, from Mom. Thank God, I was wondering how to tell you the same thing. The Grandview Resort is for successful people, sweetie. You just feel out of place. The Grandview Resort. My hands trembled as I held the phone. They had no idea. None of them had any idea. I took a breath and typed simply, okay, selling the resort then. I set my phone face down on my desk and tried to return to the quarterly reports I'd been reviewing. The financial statements for all 7 of my properties needed my attention before the board meeting next week. My phone buzzed, then again, then it started ringing. Brittany's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call. She called again immediately. Declined. Then Mom called. Declined. The texts started flooding in. What do you mean selling the resort? Stop being dramatic, Maya. You don't even work there. Stop lying. This is exactly why we didn't want you at the wedding, always making things about you. I silenced my phone and slipped it into my drawer. The truth was complicated. My family had spent the last 15 years treating me like a failure. When I dropped out of college at 20 to pursue a business opportunity, they were horrified. Mom had actually cried, telling everyone her daughter was throwing her life away. Dad had been different, quieter, more thoughtful. He pulled me aside the night I announced I was leaving school. What's the opportunity? He asked. I explained the small resort property I'd found, run down, foreclosed, sitting empty in the mountains 3 hours north. The owner had abandoned it after the 2008 financial crisis. I could get it for almost nothing. I have $15,000 saved, I told him. I know it's crazy, but I can see what it could be. He studied me for a long moment, then wrote me a check for $50,000. Don't tell your mother, he said, and don't tell your sister. They won't understand. But I see something in you, Maya. You've got vision. That was 14 years ago. Dad passed away 7 years later, taking my secret to his grave. The rundown resort I purchased had become the Grandview, a luxury mountain destination that now hosted celebrity weddings, corporate retreats, and elite social events. But I kept my ownership completely private, operating through a NULC and hiring a fantastic public-facing management team. To my family, I was just Maya, the college dropout who disappeared into the mountains and worked some vague job they never asked about. I'd learned to dress simply when I visited them, drive my older car instead of the newer one, and never mention my work in detail. It was easier that way, less complicated than explaining how the failure of the family had built a small hospitality empire while Brittany bounced between marketing jobs and Mom remarried a wealthy surgeon, both convinced that money married into or earned through conventional means was the only real success. My office door opened. Marcus, my resort director, poked his head in. Hey, we have the Whitmore wedding this weekend, and the bride is asking about adding the premium floral package. Should I? He stopped when he saw my expression. What's wrong? My sister is getting married here in 3 months. Marcus's eyes widened. Your sister, the one who thinks you're a poor failure who works some entry-level job somewhere? Yes, that one. And she doesn't know you own this place. She just uninvited me from her wedding because I can't afford to be here. I pulled my phone from the drawer and showed him the messages. Marcus read them, his face darkening. Your own mother wrote that? My family has always been like this. It's why I never told them. So what are you going to do? I looked at the messages again, at the casual cruelty, the relief emoji my mother had sent, Brittany's assumption that I'd be embarrassed to attend because of my poverty. Cancel her wedding, I said quietly. Marcus blinked. Are you serious? Completely. Cancel all events for that weekend. Tell the management team to issue refunds and help guests find alternative venues. I'll cover any cancellation fees personally. Maya, That's 15 different events that weekend. The Grandview has never canceled like this. Our reputation. I know, but my family doesn't get to treat me like garbage and then use my property for their celebration. They don't get both. Marcus nodded slowly. I'll make the calls, but you know they're going to find out you own this place. Good, it's time they knew. He left, and I sat in my office, watching the sky darken over the mountains. My phone kept buzzing in the drawer, but I ignored it. An hour later, Marcus returned. It's done. Management called all the clients scheduled for that weekend. They're offering to help relocate events to our sister property in Asheville or providing referrals to comparable venues. Most were understanding, especially with the full refunds and our help. And my sister? Jennifer from events called her personally 5 minutes ago. He checked his watch. She should be getting the news right about now. As if on cue, my phone began ringing. Brittany. I let it go to voicemail. She called again immediately. Then Mom. Then a number I didn't recognize, probably her fiancé. The voicemail started piling up. I waited until there were 7 before I finally listened. The first was Brittany, her voice shaking with rage. Maya, what the hell did you do? The resort just called and canceled our wedding. They said the owner demanded it. Did you complain about us or something? Did you call them and make up lies? Call me back. The second was Mom. Maya Elizabeth, I know you're behind this somehow. The resort manager said the owner specifically requested all events that weekend be canceled. That's thousands of dollars we're losing. What did you tell them? This is exactly the kind of vindictive behavior. The third was Brittany again, crying now. Please, Maya, I don't know what we did to make you so angry, but please fix this. This is my wedding. You can't do this to me. Call them back. Tell them you lied about whatever you said. Please. I deleted the rest without listening. Then I called Jennifer, my events coordinator. Hey Maya, I figured you'd want an update. The Whitmore wedding this weekend is all set, and I've got the team helping relocate next weekend's events. But your sister has called our main line about 20 times. She's demanding to speak to the owner. Let her demand. She can leave messages. She's also posted on social media that the Grandview is unprofessional and cruel. It's getting some traction. People are asking what happened. Let me see. Jennifer sent me the screenshot. Brittany's Instagram post showed a photo of the resort's website alongside a long caption about how they've cruelly canceled her dream wedding for no reason, and how heartless corporations were destroying people's special days for profit. The comments were mostly sympathetic. Lots of angry face reactions, several people tagging the resort's official account and demanding answers. Do you want to respond? Jennifer asked. Our per team is drafting something neutral about unforeseen circumstances. No. Let it sit for now. I hung up and opened my laptop. Time to do something I'd never done before. Post from my personal account about my business. I kept the two worlds completely separate for years. My personal Instagram was sparse. A few photos of hiking trips, my dog, the occasional sunset. Nothing that hinted at wealth or success. I had maybe 200 followers, mostly old friends from high school. I selected a photo from my computer. It was from the ribbon-cutting ceremony when we finished the major renovations on the Grandview 8 years ago. I was standing in front of the resort's entrance, holding oversized scissors and grinning next to the mayor and the local tourism board president. The caption on the original press release had read, "Local entrepreneur Maya Stephens unveils transformed Grandview Resort." I'd never posted it, never shared it. My family certainly had never seen it. I uploaded it now and wrote, 14 years ago, I bought a foreclosed property with my savings and a loan from someone who believed in me. Today, the Grandview Resort hosts some of the most prestigious events in the region. I've kept my ownership private because I value my privacy and wanted the business to stand on its own merit, not on my personality. But some things are more important than privacy. Some things, like family cruelty and the casual dismissal of people they claim to love, need to be addressed publicly. I will always protect my business and my values, even when it means standing up to family, especially then. I tagged the resort's official account and hit post. Then I turned my phone off completely and went home. The next morning, my phone exploded the moment I powered it on. 300 notifications on Instagram, dozens of missed calls, text messages from numbers I didn't even recognize. The post had gone viral. Someone had connected it to Brittany's complaint post. Then someone else had screenshot both posts side by side. Then the local business journal picked it up. Then a regional news site. Then it hit Twitter. The narrative had crystallized quickly, entitled "Bride Mocks Her Own Sister for Being Too Poor for the Wedding Venue." Not knowing her sister owns the venue. Sister cancels the wedding. Internet justice served. Brittany's original post had been deleted, but the screenshots lived forever. People had found her other social media, found mom's accounts, and unearthed their old posts about me. The disappointing daughter, the lost cause, the one who never amounted to anything. Everything was out now. Every dismissive comment, every casual cruelty, every time they reduced me to a punchline at family gatherings. The internet had done what it does best. It had excavated everything and laid it bare for judgment. My phone rang, a number I recognized, my Uncle Tom, Dad's brother. "Maya? Honey, I just saw everything online. I had no idea they treated you like that. I had no idea about your business either. Your dad never told me the details, just said you were doing well. I'm so sorry." His kindness broke something in me. I sat down heavily on my couch. "Uncle Tom, did Dad ever say anything to you about the loan he gave me?" "He mentioned he'd helped you with a business opportunity. Said he was proud of you. Made me promise that if anything happened to him, I'd make sure you knew he believed in you." His voice cracked. "He'd be so proud of what you've built, Maya. So damn proud." We talked for an hour. He told me stories about Dad I'd never heard. How Dad had felt trapped in his own family sometimes, always trying to keep the peace between strong personalities. How he'd seen something in me that reminded him of his own mother, my grandmother, who'd been a quiet force, underestimated by everyone until she did something remarkable. After we hung up, I finally looked at the messages from Brittany and Mom. "Brittany, you've ruined my life. Everyone is harassing me online. They're saying horrible things, all because you couldn't just be happy for me. I hope you're satisfied." "Mom, I raised you better than this, Maya. Airing family business online is disgraceful. You've embarrassed us all. Don't bother coming to any family events ever again." I almost laughed. Don't bother coming to family events? They just uninvited me from the wedding for being too poor and embarrassing. I typed one response and sent it to both of them. "I didn't air anything. I simply told the truth about my business after you told me I was too poor and unsuccessful to attend your celebration at my property. You aired the family business when you mocked me publicly and privately for years. You're not upset that I responded. You're upset that everyone knows who you really are now. Don't contact me again." Then I blocked both numbers. 3 weeks later, Jennifer called with an update. "So Brittany found a new venue, some country club about an hour from here. They're still having the wedding. Good for them. Also, we've had 7 new high-profile booking requests this month. Apparently, people love the story of the owner who stands up for herself. We're being called the resort with integrity on social media." I smiled. Sometimes the trash takes itself out, and business improves. Win-win. "There's one more thing," Jennifer said carefully. "A woman named Patricia called. Said she's your aunt, your dad's sister. She wants to book the venue for her daughter's wedding next spring." Aunt Patricia. I hadn't spoken to her in years. She'd moved to Oregon before Dad died. "She said to tell you that your dad would be proud," Jennifer continued, "and that she'd love to reconnect if you're open to it. She saw everything online and wanted you to know that side of the family always believed in you." I felt tears prick my eyes. Tell her yes, to all of it. After I hung up, I walked out onto my office balcony. The grand view spread out below me. The renovated main building, the gardens I'd designed, the event pavilion we'd added 3 years ago, the guest cottages that had just won a hospitality design award. 14 years ago, I'd been a 20-year-old with a wild dream and $15,000. Today, I was a successful businesswoman who'd finally stopped hiding her success to make cruel people comfortable. My phone buzzed. A text from Uncle Tom. "Sunday dinner at my place. Bringing Patricia and her family. They're in town and want to see you. Real family this time, the kind your dad would have wanted you surrounded by." I smiled and typed back, "I'll be there." Some families are born. Others are chosen. And sometimes the best thing you can do is know the difference.